2024 was an insane year for Metroidvanias. Not only did we get a new Prince of Persia game, which more people should have played, but we got Animal Well, which ended up making it to the Game Awards, and so many other Metroidvanias hitting Steam that there was no way I was able to keep track of them all. Path of the Teal Lotus, Biomorph, a new Momodora game, Steam Incender, Crypt Custodian, Void Rot, Ultros. Just the Castlevania Dominus collection alone was enough to fill up the rest of the year for me. And those are just the ones I could remember. I'm still trying to catch up from last year's huge wave of games. Even after I beat Blasphemous for the first time, the sequel was right around the corner. Anyways, I was in that Metroidvania mood, the one that seems to happen to me each year for some reason, and I decided to watch one of Metroidvania Guru's ranking videos. Seriously, this man is doing God's work. You should subscribe to his channel because he has the most comprehensive Metroidvania list ever. Well, this game called Nine Souls, I always noticed it sitting in his S rank. And not just his channel either. No matter where I turned, I seemed to see this pipe-smoking cat man. Well, if the guru himself highly recommends this game, I'm gonna take his word for it and check this shit out. Hollowknight meets Sekiro. I swear the gaming industry has this Rule 34 thing going on. If it exists, there's a Metroidvania game somewhere out there about it. Besides the surface level comparisons though, what even is Nine Souls? Because I've heard some pretty bold statements. One of the greatest games ever created. The game you need to play while waiting for Silksong. Hell, I've even heard people say it stands toe-to-toe with Hollow Knight itself. Which, let's be honest, can we really trust Team Cherry fans at this point? We've been waiting for Silksong for so long. Those of us who haven't distanced ourselves have gotten about as cracked out as the Hollows from Undead Asylum. Nine Souls is a lore-rich, hand-drawn, 2D action platformer featuring Sekiro-inspired deflection-focused combat where you embark on a journey of Eastern fantasy. Exploring a land once home to an ancient alien race, and you follow a vengeful hero's quest to slay the Nine Souls, the formidable rulers of this forsaken realm. First off, this game looks beautiful. Everything literally is hand-drawn. The cutscenes look straight out of an anime, and I haven't seen character portraits and dialogue this good since the Shantae games. And certain scenes, like the ones before boss fights, are straight up manga slides. At times I felt like I was moving through a living comic book. When you start to realize how much work went into drawing every little detail of this game, down to the smooth and blistering fast pace of all the combat animations, it easily becomes one of the most impressive parts about this game. At first, I wasn't really comfortable with the price tag. I thought it was a bit too expensive for a Metroidvania, but it's understandable with the sheer quality and highly stylized art design. Nine Souls is a gorgeous game to watch in motion. It's so weird, you know, to get sold by the Hollow Knight meets Sekiro tagline because this feels surface level to what the game actually is. I usually mentally check out too when it comes to stories in video games. I think it has to do a lot with bad writing. They're just too predictable, if not outright telling you what's going to happen next, along with forcing exposition down your throat constantly. There's also this thing with modern media where the protagonist has to be the most obnoxious human being on the planet. I just want to get to the gameplay, please. Nine Souls is none of these things. For starters, that pipe-smoking catman Yi, he's one of the best protagonists I've played in a very long time. Man, do I miss playing as the stoic badass in a video game. At first, the story is vague. All you know is Yi is on a quest for revenge. But instead of being cookie cutter, throughout the game you have these flashbacks that slowly unravel his backstory. You get to see his motivations, the deep connection he has with his family, the difficult situations and consequences of his choices, the struggle with his inner demons. This shit is deep. The beauty of flawed characters is that nothing is just black and white, and Yi ends up being one of those characters that really anybody can relate with. Also, the Metal Gear Solid style transmissions had the nostalgia parts of my brain going off like fireworks. But it doesn't matter how good the story is if it doesn't have fun gameplay. Is Nine Souls really like Hollow Knight? Well, not really. I mean, yeah, if you're familiar with the charm system in Hollow Knight, the Jades are basically the same thing. The world map is kinda similar. Honestly, Nine Souls doesn't share much at all with Hollow Knight, really. But Sekiro? Oh yeah, it's clearly inspired by Sekiro. I hope you're ready to die to the same boss 50 times in a row, because this game's difficulty, you're gonna get your ass kicked. I'm not saying it's as difficult as Sekiro. I never found myself hysterically laughing or screaming into a pillow. You know, those times where you're gripping your controller so tightly you feel like you're gonna snap it in half. If I didn't take breaks when I played Sekiro, I would have had to take a trip to the drywall section of Home Depot. Nine Souls is way more forgiving, considering how fast you can get back into a boss fight, and so far the normal difficulty hasn't completely broken my will to live. Yes, there is difficulty option, so my stubborn ass refusing to play on anything less than normal is just a me problem at the end of the day. The parry-based combat, it's pure crack. The sounds of each deflection is like little dopamine hits. You got iframe dodges, charge attacks, back attacks, mid-air combat, pogo kicks, a bow that would make Ryu Hayabusa blush. And if you land the perfect parry, you're rewarded with these bombs that you can attach to enemies for massive damage. There's so much happening at once during these fights, it's an absolute spectacle to watch. These aren't just well-designed boss fights either. These are hands down some of the best fights in the genre. One thing I loved about Sekiro was that sense of achievement after beating a difficult boss. In Sekiro, you can't cheese bosses, you can't one-shot bosses, you can't run past a boss, you can't get stronger and come back to a boss with better gear. When I beat Genichiro in Ishin's final phase after several grueling hours straight, I knew that it was all me. I had to practice combat like an instrument. Swords clashing, sparks flying, every single parry as you and your opponent dance on the screen, constantly on the edge of death. I can say with complete confidence that Nine Souls delivers when it comes to that sense of achievement from combat. But don't forget, we are talking about a Metroidvania here, and how does the map design stack up to Hollow Nest? Like I said earlier, I'm not seeing all the Hollow Knight comparisons. They are there, kinda. If you're looking for that sense of exploration you got from Hollow Knight, you're probably not gonna find it here. Nine Souls is a game about fast movement. Yes, there's a bunch of hidden secrets like jades and lore to find, but the type of exploration you'll be experiencing is unlocking a lot of shortcuts, making areas that took you over an hour to get through the first time cut down to less than minutes during backtracking. If you're the type of person that hates backtracking in Metroidvanias, well, you're gonna love Nine Souls. The world's still beautiful to look at, and there's tons of lore and environmental storytelling. But I didn't get that same level of immersion like the fear I felt in Deep Nest, or the moment I entered the City of Tears for the first time and the music almost had me in tears myself. What you will experience while exploring is, well, some pretty dark and twisted shit. I won't get into detail, but there's a warning label on this game for a reason. I'll let you find that out for yourself because I'd consider it spoilers anyways. So Nine Souls, the reason why I think it's peak Metroidvania. Why did I have the balls to put it next to Hollow Knight in the thumbnail? Well, I've sunk many hours into Hollow Knight. I've watched so many lore videos, let's plays, speed runs, retrospectives, reaction videos. I've had the soundtrack in my playlist for several years now. I've even watched music theory videos on this game. The difference between a great piece of art and a masterpiece is that a masterpiece doesn't just stick to one genre. It transcends the medium. It resonates. It shakes you to your core. and you come out the other side a slightly different person than you were before. Nine Souls was that type of experience for me. The type of game that makes me want to delve into its world outside of just the game. I will for sure subscribe to any channel doing lore videos on this game because it's just that damn interesting. Nine Souls is a masterpiece. And I'm not just throwing that word around to try to bullshit people or validate anyone's opinion to gain subscribers. None of that retention graph bullshit. I truly think Nine Souls is a special game, and I just want more people to play it.